Doom. Doom OG. Doom 93, however you want to call it. Fucking Doom. Um, it was made by, like, Jesus and Buddha. They got together. They did it under, like, their symbiotes or whatever it is, or your clones in the world. John Romero and John Carmack. I don't know which one's Jesus, which one's Buddha, but it's definitely there. And there's other people who also, made Doom, but it was mainly Jesus and Buddha. But it's one of my favorite game. No, it is my favorite game of all time. And how do you even go about talking about it when I could spend like hours and hours? But I think what I do is I'm going to break it down. We're going to talk about the 3 episodes. The original Doom, not Ultimate Doom, and I think they even added some more stuff after Thy Flesh Consumed. I can't remember. I think Bethesda's added to their games, but let's talk about that. I'm not going to talk so much about how Doom changed the world and all of that other stuff, deathmatch and things like that. I think I might leave that for something else. Let's just talk about just the sheer brilliance of, like, man, let's just start at episode 1. I first played this game, and I think it was about 94, and I played it at a friend's house. He had a new computer, and he had a shareware version, because Doom was released on shareware, which pretty much says, well, they'll just give you, like, the first third of the game for free, and then you'll buy the rest. Usually by either, at the time, it was like you'd have to send off a check in the mail to it, or GT Interactive, whatever the hell was making that shit. And eventually, I think Ultimate Doom was released in a box copy at Walmart, and so you could just go to Walmart and get it. But it started off kind of just a small team of guys, like 12 or so guys who made this game and changed gaming forever. And I would say it's right up there with like things like Super Mario Brothers and Tetris is super influential. But back to episode 1. When you first play Doom, it's cartoony looking now. But when you first play Doom, you're not very good at dodging fireballs or anything like that. And while it has this like hard rock soundtrack to it for the most part, it's kind of scary. And they'll put in like slower paced, scary Robert Prince or Price, I can't remember. I think it's Prince. Made the soundtrack, and it's absolutely brilliant. And as you're playing it, the first time you play it, it's kind of scary, and you're creeping each room. You're looking for keys. It's taking a long time, like 40 minutes to beat a level or whatever. And there's like 9 levels. There's a hidden level, and you're getting your shotgun, your chain gun. You're seeing stuff like you'll go down a little door or whatever, and you'll see here's a chainsaw. It's hidden behind this freaking window, and it's up on a platform. As you see it, it has a chainsaw. Yeah, it's a freaking chainsaw, and you can get it and chainsaw up the baddies, man. It's like all of these cool secrets and stuff, and the imps are scary and shit. It's all tense. Oh, here comes a demon. He's pink. You got to get his ass. Pinky's what they end up calling him later on, and then you finally get to the end. You freaking go to I forgot the name of the level now, but it's the 2 barons of hell that come out of the door, and you gotta kill their asses, and they gonna freaking look like demons. They have the billy goat, freaking fur and everything, the horns, and you get them and you kill them, and you finally go up the steps and you go into the area where it's the dark area where you teleport in, and there's a bunch of guys that kill you, or they put you back in the like almost death, and it's like, man, you just got fucked. Now it's time for the next moon, Mars or Femos. I can't remember what your Demos or Femos, which one you start on. But now you get about episode 2, and you're so excited. It's like, dude, I ended up actually playing Doom all the way through on the 2nd and 3rd episode on Super Nintendo, which is kind of bad. That's a rough damn port, but at least it was a way for you to play it, because I didn't have a computer. I started saving up my money and doing everything I could to eventually get a computer, and I got one a year later so I could play Doom, because it was like, wow, there was nothing like this on your consoles at the time. Even though there was stuff like Wolfenstein 3D or games that had done a first-person perspective, which you would move forward at one screen at a time, kind of like Wizardry. But the smoothness of Doom is what really, really makes that game just stand out and just so freaking great. I think it runs about 30 or maybe 35 frames or something. It's kind of slow compared to today, But today you play Doom on modern source ports and stuff, so you can up the resolution, and you got mouse look and all that good stuff. So it helps the game kind of age forward. And so these days when you play Doom, it's like white knuckle blitz, go through, blowing up a whole bunch of imps and shit. But it wasn't like that when you first played it. So it has this thing where like dynamically changes as you play, and as you move up from, you might play it on I'm Too Young to Die to start up with, and then you move on to the ultra violence where the shit's ridiculous, and the later parts of episode 3 can be pretty tough in ultra violence unless you're, got pretty good. Although it's nothing nowhere near as how hard Doom eventually got. Like when Doom 2 is rough, and we won't even talk about freaking the Botonia experiment. That's some bullshit right there. But man, it's just so great. And then you finally, after working for months and months and months to figure out how to play Doom over the phone with your friend over dial-up, and it's like, holy shit, you can play co-op in this game and play the whole game with a friend while he's at another different house. This entire thing, that's the first time I played, you wouldn't even call it internet online, it was just, dial-up. And so it's the first time that Doom really brings that to a lot of people, that you could play co-op, or that you could play deathmatch. It fucking invents deathmatch, events versus people, in first-person mode, going down and hunting people down, and and then you realize after you play a lot that the plasma rifle isn't really that good, because you're like trying to shoot the other guy and he's shooting big bullets and you can't really see him. It's like you need to kind of like beam in to try to get him, and then you can kill a guy with the 3 hits with a shotgun, or 2 if you're really good, and then just play the fuck out of that stuff. So do we recommend this game? I mean, of course we do. You probably already got it. You just already if you haven't played through the original, at least the first episode of Doom, you're doing yourself a disservice. Even though the game this day has the cartoony graphics and shit, it's still so damn fun. It's something about the levels, the aesthetic of the levels, the way the enemies are paced. As far as first-person shooters go, it's pretty easy these days. Doom 1's pretty damn easy, but there's a little bit of a challenge in later episodes, and I mean, you gotta have this Big Kitty sewing the paw way up. We love the music, the atmosphere, the graphics. Brian also throws the paw up because as you play and play and play, the game actually changes dynamically with you, and playing with a friend is freaking super fun. Playing with deathmatch is freaking great. And there's a couple of things that were wrong in the original Doom, as far as like co-op. As you picked up items and stuff, they would disappear and you would get killed, and you would have to start back with a pistol with just 50 bullets in it. So it's like, okay, if you were loaded up with shit and you collected a bunch of stuff and you got killed stupidly or needlessly, you'd be in the pistol and you kind of be in a bad situation. The other player might be pissed off. Also, you could friendly frag other players. There wasn't a way to turn it off. Today's modern source ports, you can pretty much take care of that. I don't know if Bethesda still has a friendly fire on and their shit ports, but I think it does. But I think Bethesda went through just recently and patched in and finally fixed their official ports of the game, because they were bad, dude. But it's still stupidly great. Even if you're forced to just play those, like on with a controller or whatever, then by all means, it's still fun. It's still Doom, and it only got better when things like mods and levels and total conversions and all of that other stuff started appearing. Then I think I'll not do a video about that one day, but we'll try to stick straight to the review. And you cannot understate how influential this game is. It did not invent first-person shooters, but it put them on the map. And I say that when Quake came out, really the only thing that Quake has over Doom, even stuff like speed running, that Doom was doing speed running and stuff because you had a par time when, I think John Romero put a par time up for how fast he could beat each level, and so people would try to beat that. I think Quake really really brought in the speed running with all the crazy gimmicks and shit that Doom didn't have so much of that. They have some glitches and shit you can take advantage of. But and then Quake, I think, brought internet gameplay and then 3D acceleration to first-person shooters. And Doom wasn't even really able to catch up on that till the source port got released, or the source code, because John Romack was like, you know what, everybody should be able to play and hack and adjust Doom. And so I think in 1998, don't quote me on that, he released the source code for Doom. And so that you were able to get uncapped frame rates, mouse look, being able to drop in, drop out, multiplayer, all kinds of extra stuff was added then. And of course 3D acceleration, which is what I'm using right here, so it looks better than if you played it in the original resolution, which is like 320 by 200. That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough to see, but it's one of those games that scales up. And then so when you was to play Doom on a modern source port, and then you go and you play something like, you know, one of the Call of Duty, I think the last Call of Duty is actually supposed to have a good campaign, you realize that, wow, this is like, Call of Duty's not as good as Doom. And I think a lot of people were, I mean, especially old gamers, the ones who like the old, you know, Unreal Tournaments and Quakes and shit like that, were kind of left out until Doom 2016 came back and kind of revitalized that, and, you know, made it so, oh, well, you know, did you guys forget about Painkillers? Forget about Serious Sam? Yeah, apparently we did, because we all had to be military bullshit shooters. But you can still play all this old stuff, and today you got an entire indie scene where there's like indie games that are released that follow that old school style flavor of first person shooter that Doom really brought in. And I mean, just going through here, there's 40,000 different things you can do on these ports, and it's a little bit overwhelming to do some of these ports, but it's awesome, man, and it keeps Doom kind of leveled up, and it don't age out completely. And so however you can play Doom, if you've never done it before, I'd heartily recommend it. And it's timeless. It's absolutely timeless. Even though the monsters look like cartoony little monsters, there's still something awesome about them, something really appealing about them. And I can't really stop thinking about it. I mean, I remember for like the first several years that I'd played that game, I dreamed about killing monsters every night in my sleep. They weren't nightmares. They were good dreams. And I guess I'll end on that note, man. But Doom is super great. It's my favorite game of all time. And I hope you played it. If you haven't played it, you're not a real gamer. You're just a fraud.